Hey folks, today is new dash cluster day. So my 82 van has been flawless as far as gauges goes. However, my odometer stopped working. Not a big deal. I keep track of my mileage. I've been putting up with that for a long time. Plus, the old 82 diesel, which is now a Subi, does not have a tachometer. So I use an OBD2 reader along with dash command to monitor my RPMs and all my vitals. I finally decided to bite the bullet and do a full refresh on the cluster. So I'm putting in a tachometer dedicated. I've got a new GoWesty digital GPS speedometer. I've got the foil replacement kit. That's for the speedometer. This is the GPS sensor for the speedometer. And because I got a Subi motor, I am adding an oil pressure gauge with a little help of this guy right here, which will go into my block. So I don't know if I'll finish it today. I'm going to go ahead and pull the cluster out. It's supposed to be 100 degrees outside. Right now it is 7:30, I think, in the morning. So I'm going to pull the cluster out. I'm going to bring it in the house, set up shop at the kitchen counter, and I'm going to start this project. Hopefully I can get it done. The tachometer might take a little more time because I got to run wires from the engine all the way up, and I got to figure out where in my harness is that little white wire with the red stripe that I bundled up years ago when I did the Subi conversion. But we'll get to that eventually. The oil pressure, I'm not sure. I got to run wires for that too. So we'll at least get the gauges installed, the foil replaced, and then part two might be running the wires for those other two pieces. So let's get at it. All right, so one of the first things you want to do is disconnect your battery. And since my battery is underneath the seat, keep a wrench down here. All right, so if you've never taken your cluster off, all your gauges right here, this is one big component that pops out really easy. If you haven't had this off, then you're in trouble because you should be checking your brake fluid, which is right underneath here. Anyway, so let's take that off. So this here is the foil that gets old and brittle and stops working. So I've pretty much lost all my lights in my dash, even though I've replaced them all with new LED bulbs and stuff. This is your brake fluid. Whenever you fill that, be careful because you don't want to get it down in there. So there's a couple screws here, a couple plugs. We're going to take all that out and take it inside where it's a little bit cooler. These little tabs get broken off on here. That's real common. GoWesty does sell a replacement kit. All right, gently remove these guys here. The hazard switch, the rear defroster switch. That over here. And that's right there. Okay, then back here we've got a red plug. It's plugged to the foil. A white plug right there, and I think speedometer kit. If I recall, that should do it. Look at that. Pretty easy. So let's take a look at this foil. This foil here is the problem with a lot of these old vans. It just gets very brittle, gets cracked, stops working. But fortunately, GoWesty has a solution for that. So what we need to do is replace all of this with a wiring kit, put in new bulbs, and in my case, we are going to replace the clock, which has worked flawlessly. That clock has not missed a beat in the 8 or 9 years I've owned this van. Speedometer works great, however the odometer does not. So we're going to replace that. and put a tachometer in there, new digital speedo, and hopefully get Ferdinand back up and running today. But I'm in no hurry. I'm not planning on driving the van, so we'll take our time. And but here's what's behind your dash. If you've never taken a look, you got your master cylinder for your brake. This is your that's the master cylinder. The clutch cylinder is down below here somewhere, but all runs off of this. A lot of wires. This is your speedometer cable here. Some of your venting for your heater. All kinds of stuff. If you've never had your dash out of your van, I highly recommend doing that sometime. It's not a hard project. It just takes time because you got to disconnect a lot of stuff. So it's a good practice. It's a good thing to do because you don't want to have to do it on the side of the road and not know what you're doing. Sooner or later, your heater flaps aren't going to work, and you're going to need to get in there, and you're going to need to replace a motor or fix something around there. So that'd be the time to do it because you don't want to do it every day. But it's not hard. It just takes time. I think it's probably a good 4 to 5 hour job, start to finish, or spread it out over a weekend. Take your time, and yeah. So, anyways, let's go do this. So one thing I will mention is that this plastic is over 40 years old, so be careful with everything you touch here because it will shatter, it will break. So put it down on a padded surface and just be gentle. Okay. So I had to do a little fix up here because my plastic was broken. So I used a little E6000 to hold that baby in there. Should do the trick. Just got a few more things to wrap up and we'll be done. Alright, so I got all the wires hooked up. I got my new digital speedometer in here. These wires need to go hooked up to the fuse block. I still need to punch a hole through the side for my odometer reset button. These are all connected, the lights are connected. I just got to wire this into the dash with where that plug right there is. But the van is out there and it's 100 degrees outside, so I'm not going out there right now. So we're going to wait till it's a little cooler to wrap this up. Here's what the front of the gauges look like. The digital and the tachometer. All right, folks, so we got the console, or I should say the cluster, all swapped out, got the foil off of there, got the new wiring kit in there, and I added my tachometer. And so phase 2 is now to get it into the van. So when you're running a Subi conversion, one of the things you have to do for the tachometer is to install a resistor. According to Rocky Mountain Westy, they gave me the resistor size. I'll have to look that up, put it in the notes below. I didn't give full instructions. This is not a how-to video on how to install these things because the GoWesty instructions are actually really good, so didn't bother going there. This is just kind of an overview of what I did. So, weekend project, day 2. Let's go wire it into the van. This guy here is your main plug that goes into the back of your existing console. What GoWesty wants you to do now, if you look at the new instructions, is you clip that off and you wire in this one. Most of the wires should, so Joey's working on the street, should plug right into that. So I'm going to follow the directions as they say and see what happens. Now the hard part for me is that this was a diesel. So there's a couple little inconsistencies. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and clip this bad boy off because I know I'm not using it anymore, but I'm kind of scared. Here we go. Now remember, you've disconnected your battery, so you shouldn't be worrying about these power wires here. There it is. Done with that guy. We got to strip about a 1/4 inch off of each of these. There should be 14 wires, although the diesel, I believe I might be lacking one. We'll see here. Because I never had a coolant level sensor. By the way, these type of wire strippers, so Klein tools, amazing. Love them. Alright, one more here. That's that. Alright, let's count how many wires we actually have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, we'll have to see how that matches up, being that I have 14 it calls for, but we're going to match them up one by one and see what's missing. Are we having fun yet? So, one of the challenges you're going to have in doing this project is getting down in here with your crimpers. So I recommend these by Wirefly because you can put one of these connectors in there and you'll hold it just barely enough that it won't fall out, and makes getting down in there a little bit easier. So we will continue wiring up and see where that goes. Alright, so we got that all wired in there. I've got my tack in place, all new LEDs in here. The new GPS speedometer from GoWesty in there. I replaced all the foil in the back. This is your reset knob here for the odometer. You can program in your odometer, so I'm going to go ahead and do that next. The next phase of this, which is stage 2, I'm waiting on some parts, is I've got a glow shift oil pressure gauge that is going to go in here with the Uniworks Designs replacement 2 cluster. I've got an oil pressure and a coolant temperature gauge going in here. They both face this way, so waiting on a couple parts to get those in. That'll be the next video. But anyways, thanks for watching. I highly recommend the upgrade, especially if you don't have a tach. Get a tach in there. I've been using my OBD2 sensor for a while, and it's fine, but I don't like the lag time. But I'm hoping to get out and drive it, check it out, and see you on the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments below. I'll put a couple links into some of these products, some of the tools I use too, because they are quite handy. And so, nice little weekend project. Stay tuned for that one. Have a great day.